Hello, everyone. I'm Aaron St. Denis at FF Mad Scientist. That is Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05. And this is the Fantasy Football Universe. Today, we are going to kick off our rookie sneak peek series with a guy who's kind of scary. He's probably the consensus 101. But the issue is today is January 15th, the deadline to declare, and he is not declared yet for the NFL draft. So tomorrow, this profile could be completely irrelevant if he decides to go back to USC. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going good. I'm a little under the weather, so just struggling through it. But overall, this Williams stuff is wild because I don't remember a draft prospect as high as him waiting till the last minute and then deciding not to declare.
Well, who was it last year? Was it Keisha Butte? I don't remember who it was. Someone declared, then undeclared, then declared, then undeclared. So we'll get right into this. I guess we've got the consensus 101 for sure in Superflex. Well, I guess I don't even know. We had this conversation the other day because I know a lot of people are saying Marvin Harrison. I guess that's a good place to start. What are your thoughts? Superflex? What do you think? Who's the one?
It's Caleb. I don't, and then honestly, for me, I'm gonna probably push Jaden Daniels against draft capital above Harrison, but that's how I just treat the position Superflex. It's just we've seen a lot of high profile wide receivers not be the elite players we think they are, so they think Harrison is auto lock, and I don't necessarily think that's exactly the case. So for me, it's Caleb.
The other day we had this conversation, and I said, no, for sure, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, it's not. I know, and I guess I'm jaded because what was it? We had 2 years ago, Breece Hall was the 101, Walker was the 102. Why? The quarterbacks sucked. Yeah. Last year, we had good quarterback prospects, but, there wasn't really one that stood out like Williams. And I was thinking, well, last year there was good quarterbacks, but we still went Bijan 101. I kind of regret that. Bijan was the 101. It didn't necessarily work out, but he was the generational prospect. There was no generational quarterback. But so, I guess I was jaded because I looked, and the one team where I had the 101, I did take Bijan. So I'm like, oh, so I have to take Marvin Harrison. And then I remembered the reason I took Bijan wasn't because I wanted him. It was because that was the league where I owned the 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I knew I was going to get a quarterback. So I just said, screw it. I'll take Bijan and I'll take the remaining 3 quarterbacks in the round. If I had to make just the 101 and not, and not have every pick in the round, I think I would have gone Anthony Richardson. And in the end, I'd be happier having Richardson. I'd be happier having CJ Stroud over Bijan in Superflex. Is that even close? Right now, CJ Stroud's he's a top 5 pick. It's not even close. So right. I think I've come around, and I'm going to have Marvin Harrison more like the 3 on my board. For me, it's all going to depend on these quarterbacks where they go in the draft. I think Williams is going to be the 101. I could see Jaden Daniels. I could see Bo Nix in there. I've even seen some Drake May up there. So I think I've cooled a bit on Marvin Harrison in Superflex anyways. He's the 101 in standard.
Malik Neighbors is a freaking awesome prospect too. So that's part of it as well. So the difference for me is not that much between them. So you're not getting a substantial advantage. Or at least I don't think.
I tell you one thing, if you need a running back, this is not your year. This is not your trade your first round pick for an aging veteran and get by. Yes. Trade your 107 for Alvin Kamara and pray he has a year left in him. Because this year, the best back was probably Travion Henderson, and he went back.
Just use one of those early picks on one of the young Breece Halls or Bijan or one of those guys.
So I guess we should get into the guy we're here to talk about. Caleb Williams, USC quarterback. Out of USC, he was, he's from Washington, D.C., was a 4-star recruit out of Georgia. I can't read today. Out of Gonzaga High School. I'm trying to read my own sneak peek, which is available on our website, fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Williams started his collegiate career as a member of Oklahoma, backing up Spencer Rattler. Boy, did he fall off the cliff, and he didn't even make it to the NFL yet. But he replaced the struggling Rattler after only 6 games, finished his freshman season strong for the Sooners, and left for USC with his Oklahoma head coach as a sophomore, where his production exploded. Some of the measurables, we are just sticking to the basics, obviously, because we'll update these profiles as we go after the combine. Mostly you'll get, all the measurables updated. And then after the draft, we'll have the bottom section of the draft capital in the written profile anyways. As far as the video series here, these are the sneak peeks. After the combine and the draft, we're going to have a follow-up of an actual full profile. But for now, we'll work with what we got. So his measurables, he is 6'1". For height, that is the 17th percentile. Weight of 215, 27th percentile. So he's a pretty decent sized dude. Like he's not tiny by any means, but he's not 6'6". He's just, average height. Age is 22.1, and he is a junior. What do you think there? I know there's not a lot to go on because it's early, but you worried at all his size? Like he's 17th and 27th percentile. He's not Bryce Young size. Yeah. But he's not Ben Roethlisberger. So we've seen, how bad the short guys can struggle in Bryce Young. But, I mean, you have Drew Brees. So
right.
Are you concerned?
No. When you get to that Bryce Young prospect, like we did last year, I think that was legit concern because he's a lot smaller. And so, the issues with him are substantially worse. I mean, Williams, he's mobile and he can move around. So I'm not too worried about him. He's a little bit undersized. Like, ideally, you'd want him in that 6'4" range. But, you kind of just live with it with him. Like, that's one of the few digs he has if you're going to,
That's kind of how I feel. Yeah. His size isn't something I love, but it's not something I'm really going to ding him for. He's just kind of there. It's not smaller. He's not small enough that it's a problem. Yeah. We'll go through some of his stats. In 2021, his only year at Oklahoma. I have him listed as in 11 games. He didn't play all of them. 1,912 passing yards and 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for a 169.6 quarterback rating. In his first year, 2022 with USC, he played 14 games, 4,537 passing yards, a collegiate career high, 42 touchdowns versus 5 interceptions, the 42 TDs, also his collegiate high, 168.5 passer rating. His final year, 2013 at USC, he played in 12 games, dropped down to 3,633 yards passing, wasn't nearly as good. 30 touchdowns, so also a significant drop, still 5 touchdowns, but somehow had a slightly better passer rating at 170.1. It's really interesting to see, the drop off between, the year he exploded in USC. And don't get me wrong, his junior year by no means was terrible, but it's almost 1,000 yards less in passing. Not really a significant rushing. Like he's not a standstill statue quarterback, but he's not Jalen Hurts. What are your thoughts there? Are you concerned at all that he had one awesome season and then didn't, I know the talent around him probably wasn't as good, but he still had some talent. I'm not sure why the big drop off, and he didn't really seem to have the big game ability there.
Yeah, I think this last year in particular, the defense just really just destroyed them. So he was constantly chasing, constantly behind. The defense can do anything. So it really impacts him offensively, even though his stats are pretty similar. If you look at the yards per attempt, his rushing attack actually dropped quite a bit in his last year compared to his freshman year. He ran for 400 plus yards. So he was on the move a lot more in less games. So he's kind of come down on the rushing. But overall, I'm honestly not too worried about him. He feels about as safe as you can get with a quarterback prospect, with the exception of maybe Andrew Luck. Outside of that, I'm you know what? The stats are still good. I just think there's a lot of things around him where people get into his attitude and all that stuff where they're kind of just trying to pick little pieces to dig him on personally.
All right, let's get into the scouting report. Some strengths and weaknesses. For strengths, he had elite arm talent and playmaking ability. I have him as Mahomes-like ability to improvise. Obviously, that doesn't mean he's Mahomes. He just, excuse me, under pressure when he gets out there, he does, some of the tricky things that you see Mahomes turn into a magician. Consistent performer, even when lacking the offensive line or the weapons, although he performed not as well, in those conditions. Solid ability to produce with his legs, but not a high upside for rushing. Just, it's there. Excellent accuracy in ball placement and the ability to lead his receivers, and a natural leader with a great locker room presence. What do you think was, the biggest strength that stood out to you for Williams?
It's like you're talking about earlier, it's his improbability where he could take a play and he does hold on to it a little bit and we'll do that in a minute, but like his ability to like as a play deteriorates, his ability to create on his own is really just magical. That's what you mean by the Holmes level magic, where he like pops out the pocket and does this like jump throw to the side. He's like slinging a sidearm pass on the dot to a wide receiver in the move. So he does things few quarterbacks like in the NFL can do, not to mention college. Like it's really his like magician level stuff you're talking about, where you watch it and you're just it's really impressive. Sometimes he lets it go in the negative a little bit too much, but his ability to create and improv is just like top-notch level stuff.
All right, and the weaknesses. His height may cause him difficulty seeing over the offensive line. Obviously, we said he's not Bryce Young, Doug Flutie level short, but, he's kind of Drew Brees height, a little taller. So we'll see, with those 6'7" linemen in front of him, how that affects him. He's been typically in college a one-read quarterback and may struggle to progress through his reads at the NFL level. Obviously, that's something he can learn. Lack of experience in drop-back sets. He operates most often out of the shotgun. Another thing, he'll learn. I feel like this is one where just reading through some of the things I noted, it sets up where I don't know if he's going to be CJ Stroud coming out of the box. I feel like Caleb's going to need, a little time here to develop. My final weakness for him was ball control while running. I don't know what the hell he's doing. He fucking just, pardon my language, runs very freely with the ball in his hands while he's out on the run. And he's just, if he doesn't tighten that up and, keep it closer to him, he's going to be fumbling 3 times a game. It's ridiculous. But what do you think here of some of his downsides?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit too much. I think my biggest pick with him is he holds on too long. Like similar to Justin Fields, he lets plays go on far too long. And it caught up to him in his junior year specifically, where the offensive line, the pressure rate was higher and everything went up. And yeah, it deteriorated him to where it would basically stop offensive drives because, he wasn't taking the first read. He was holding on, looking for bigger plays. And in the course, it's dangerous plays, stuff like that. So I'd say that's my one nitpick with him is he just needs to get the ball out a little sooner sometimes.
All right. I'm going to assume we're both going to agree on the expected draft capital. I have him listed as top 3. I expect him to go 101, but with Chicago holding that pick, you never know. They could take Marvin Harrison. There could be some jockeying around and trading. Top 3 at worst, I would assume. You agree?
Yeah, 100%. I'd be shocked if he was outside the top 3.
And as far as landing spots go, I had 1, but I changed it. So I have 2 listed on the site on Fantasy Football Universe, the exclusive rookie sneak peeks. Denver was my number 1 spot. I think, they move on from Russ. He fits in perfect. He's exactly what they need. The problem is, I think Denver screwed themselves and their pick is too low. So I have Arizona, which is a problem because Arizona seems like they're pretty set on Kyler. So you have a team that I think could take him, but doesn't do, they want Kyler. And then Denver, who should take him. I think honestly, my most ideal spot here would be Denver trading up to acquire him. But I don't know. Denver has pretty limited draft capital. I don't know. What are if you had to pick a landing spot here, where do you want to see him go?
So for me personally, I want him to go to a place with talented players, and that's going to be Atlanta. Like they have the skill position players around him where he could cook with those guys. So I know they're pick 7. For me, that's the idea. Oh, sorry, they're pick 8. My bad.
I heard I want him to go to, and then it just kind of in here. So.
Yeah, sorry, I'm doing a little bit better. So yeah, for me, it's Atlanta. Like I think that's the ideal spot where you could pair him with elite skill position players, and they could go for the next few years because all those guys are on rookie contracts. So I think that works really well for him.
All right. Well, that concludes our early sneak peek for 2024 rookie prospect, Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. Check back tomorrow for our next sneak peek in the series, or head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com for our daily rookie sneak peeks releasing all the way up until the draft, and then we'll switch over to rookie profiles. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Take care and have a great day.